If you've been enjoying our podcast as much as we have and hope that we continue past 50 episodes, here's your chance. Here's your chance to help make that happen. By becoming a Patreon subscriber, not only will you help the Little House on the Prairie 50th Anniversary podcast to live on, but you'll also get exclusive content just for you.
Here's what's in store for you. Join monthly Q&A sessions where you can ask us about anything. Whether it's about our work, personal interests, or advice on your own projects, we're here to connect and share.
Enjoy unique content created specifically for Patreon subscribers, including bonus segments from our shows.
You'll have a say in what we create, and you'll have a voice in future content.
Benefit from exclusive discounts on merchandise and entries into special giveaways. It's our way of saying thank you for your support.
Receive personalized shout-outs in videos, podcasts, or social media posts.
Because your support on Patreon allows us to dedicate more resources to creating the content that you love.
You could join the Little House 50th Anniversary podcast community on Patreon and become a Prairie patron for just $5 a month. We thank you so much for your continued support, and we cannot wait to share our ongoing journey with you on Patreon.
We are extremely grateful for the support of VisitSimiValley.com and the city of Simi Valley's belief in Little House on the Prairie and their support of the Little House 50th Anniversary podcast.
Discover the charm of Simi Valley, California, the home of the prairie. Visit Simi Valley, where adventure meets history and the spirit of the prairie comes alive. Explore the Ronald Reagan Presidential Library, step aboard Air Force One, enjoy stunning hikes and savor delicious local cuisine. Whether you're here for a weekend getaway or a family vacation, Simi Valley offers something for everyone and is only 30 minutes from Los Angeles. Plan your visit today and experience the best of Simi Valley. Go to visitsimivalley.com for more details. Your adventure awaits in Simi Valley.
Well, hello, bonnet heads. Hi, welcome. Welcome back. I'm Pamela Bob, your host, creator of Living on a Prairie. That's right. And I'm here. I get a giggle from that every time. Because it's, I've got to be grandiose about it a little bit.
You've got a great clip on the air, on the streaming right now.
I do?
Yeah, there's a clip from Living on a Prairie streaming where you are having that. It's the clip about, the Waltons never did this. Mog did the thing with the barbed wire. And yeah, you're just like coming unglued. It's really good.
Yeah, guys, look on social media. You'll find me there. Anyway, I am here with the face of evil. That's right. Our prairie bitch extraordinaire, Alison Arncrone. Hello, there it is. But she's really nice, you guys. She's really nice. And also here with our hashtag, imaginary boyfriend, or at least mine, anyway. Dean Butler.
Am I flattered by that? Thank you.
If you only knew. It was the trifecta for me. It was Pa, although I didn't want to sleep with Pa. I just wanted to look at Pa. Because he was Pa. Almanzo and Albert, that was my trifecta. But
so
Garvey is high. Garvey is...
No.
But Andy was... Listen, when we were watching this episode, Andy's eyes, holy moly, and those lashes, we'll get to it. But I know another trifecta for people was Adam, Garvey, and Hot Doc. Hot Doc. I'm still not over that one. Anyway,
you have sexualized all these men to a point.
It's all very pure and innocent. It's a prairie sexualization, which is
a prairie sexual thing. All right.
Yeah,
okay.
it's
very
just,
good.
But never forget, old Dan Tucker's a fine old man.
We're naughty. All right. This is why I love the podcast. Anyway, how are you guys? What's happening?
No, really good. So, we've got Alison's just home from Europe. She's now in Atlanta. I don't know how she does that. Yeah.
Never home.
We are just, we've got our Little House 50th anniversary event coming up in Columbia tonight. although it will be out by the time it will be well out by the time this breaks. We are announcing the addition of a wonderful Little House fan experience, a wine and cheese train ride on the beautiful old Sierra No. 3 steam train that all the Little House episodes were shot with. It's going to include the caboose. It's going to include, this is really going to be so much fun, and just a wonderful opportunity to have a little adult refreshment, some nice cheese and so forth, cheese and crackers, and look at the beautiful scenery going by in the low Sierras in the Gold Rush country. It should be really beautiful.
Now, let's see. Do you think Almanzo or Pa or any of the Prairie Men would have had a little light refreshment on a wonderful train ride?
They would have had a big refreshment.
Really? Alcohol, you think?
Well,
Do you
I
think
think
Pa ever drank alcohol ever?
Did Pa ever drink alcohol?
Probably had a taste, right? He had a taste. He had to have had a taste.
I think they, in certain... Yeah, I guess that's an interesting thing. Alison, do you think...
Historically... He drank all that stuff about pint of cider. He wasn't talking about apple juice. He was about cider, hard cider, which was like weaker than beer, but had a little kick to it. So Paul was like a cider person. And of course, Mr. Edwards drank. And I don't know, there was some episode, the whole thing where them be snails, where they went, he took Ma to a fancy dinner. They went to a fancy where he got like a glass of wine, I think.
Yes, right. Exactly.
In 9 years.
Yeah. I guess when I think of that, when you ask that, I always think of Michael and his white styrofoam cups, and so I know that.
Well, he would have had a drink on a train.
Yes,
of course, he would have.
There's no question. And, but that was very much that era, and there was a lot of consumption on our set. A lot of consumption going on. So anyway, but that's not what we're talking about today.
No, of course not.
What are we talking about today?
Well, coming up today, I'm very excited. We have a visit with a Little House cast member, our beloved Patrick Labyorteaux, and an episode all about honesty, which is a recurring theme, I think, with Andy. But we'll get to it.
Poor Andy.
Poor Andy. Okay, first, produced in the studios of UBN Go in Burbank, California, this is, that's right, the Little House 50th Anniversary Podcast. Okay, Dean, let's get to this. What are we talking about today?
Okay. So this episode, tonight or today, in perpetuity, in this episode, we are talking about season 5, episode 11, The Cheaters. The Cheaters premiered on Monday, November 20th, 1978. Cheaters was written by Arthur Heineman, and directed by Bill Claxton. Just such a strong, stable presence as a director in Little House.
He did so many amazing episodes, that Claxton.
Bill is a wonderful director. We could go on and on about what a wonderful director Bill was. But now, Alison, give a little synopsis of The Cheaters.
One of my favorite episodes. Are we surprised?
She's full psychopath in this episode.
No, that she is the new teacher at Walnut Grove. Alice Garvey begins to worry that her son Andy, who is her weakest student, oh dear, she's concerned. Alice reluctantly agrees to let Nellie Olson tutor him, but this ends up being a grave mistake. No,
who knew? Who knew?
What a tough prediction that is.
Worst freaking idea anybody ever had. Of course, that idea.
What was she thinking?
Okay.
All right. Well, let's bring in the cheater.
Yeah, well,
one of the cheaters. We've already got one of them here.
Yeah, the unwilling, the forced to cheater. Yes. Hello, Patrick. How are you?
Doing great. Thanks, guys. And again, I was forced into this scheme.
Yes.
Come on, back off.
Oh, okay. All right. See, okay.
He was forced. Listen, Alison was full mafia boss in this episode.
I am so freaking mean in this thing.
She's horrible.
It's disturbing because I'm so awful. And I've also, because I'm like, I just turned 16 that year, so 16. My voice is now lower, and everyone's going through puberty, and voices are changing and not changing and cracking. And people who are only 1 year, 2 years, maybe younger than me, are still kind of, talking like this. And I'm like, you're going to steal that close to the test. And suddenly I'm Tallulah Bankhead. Like, what is even happening? My voice is, I'm like, whoa, where did that come from? So yeah, I'm terrifying. I'm the big bad 16-year-old now, and I'm so cute in the blue bow. I really love that blue bow. But I'm monstrous, just terrible in this. But poor little Andy, and then there's probably doing the pitting you against, of course, Albert, who, like, because he was a little streetwise orphan, like, knows everything and aces all his tests without cheating. Even.
Patrick, how do you feel about this episode before I rip into it? Because I'm about to rip into it.
I think of it, and I think of that deers must have a phrase of like, oh, he was full Andy with Nellie when deers get afraid, because I just look terrified. It's not, deer in the headlights. It's Andy in front of Nellie. I think the idea of placing, it reminded me a lot of your performance, Alison, reminded me a lot of Ian McDermott in the Star Wars movies as the Emperor. I just expected you at one point to just, yell at Andy, do it, and, turn me to the dark side.
And have the death grip.
Yeah, I have.
It was like that.
Okay, so the answer to your question is, this to me was, I categorized a couple of different types of episodes, since I was able to do a bunch of these episodes. This was a working episode in my head. Like, okay, so I had to do really good. There was lots of stuff. There was lots of scenes.
I mean, it's all you, yeah.
Kind of is.
You're the star.
I was surprised when I rewatched it because, you remember things in one way and then you watch the episode.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure I hear you guys talking all the time. Part of my memory of Little House is my experience shooting it as opposed to when people watch the show. Makes sense.
Yeah,
Their
sure.
experience is the show, the story. And so I don't really remember the story so much as the experience.
Right.
And the experience I had was with Alison, who was always a blast to work with. But I remember having to focus because Alison never seemed to have a problem with lines, never seemed to have a problem with any of the script. So she was always happy to cut. And then this guy happened, and then she's just talking all the time. And so I had to concentrate a lot to make sure that all the stuff that I was doing kind of was what I wanted to do. And
then I'm in your face, terrorizing you at the same time. So, yeah, it's the shifting gears.
Yeah, but that was the weird part. You would think that everyone's question would be, oh, is she really like that? Meaning Nellie. And it's like, she's so not like that I was never intimidated by Alison, always intimidated by Nellie. And it's really easy for her to turn it on and off. And I mean, it's
what does that say about her?
Well, she's a psychopath, but we kind of know that.
Exactly. That's it.
Yeah.
That's it.
Oh my God.
Well, how did you feel when you? I mean, did you have any idea that you were getting this?
I keep getting weird freezing things. Am I freezing? Or are you freezing? No,
you're
back now.
Now you're back.
Now it's back. It was weird. It was like it went away, came back. Now this episode has a bunch of my favorite pieces of dialogue ever. And when they first come in and Mrs. having to go to Mrs. Olsen with the very idea of because your daughter goes, it's just like, And she is so horrible to her in the store. But the line I like is when she says, well, shouldn't you be helping Willie? And I actually say, no one can help Willie. He's hopeless. And Mrs. Wilson's like, yes. It just agrees that there's no hope for Willie. And it's one of my favorite lines. So there's 4 or 5 things in this episode that are my favorite lines of all time of the show that are just lovely.
It's true. I mean, no one objected.
No
one objected when you said that.
No, and just the dialogue in of that time where even Laura is going, I didn't know you'd got. She refers to Andy saying, you gotten so smart, as opposed to doing well on the tests, the things that would be kind of massaged out of it, including my favorite line from Laura, what's the worst that could happen? You'll get a licking. which, that no big deal back in the 1870s, 1970s. And it's like, what's the big deal?
And your parents are like, my face is about to explode because I have so much that I did not notice as a child at all. But now watching it, I guess I haven't watched this episode in a really long time because I did not remember all of this messed up stuff in this episode. First of all, Alice is horrible. She's the worst teacher ever. Posting everyone's grades on the board? Like, what is that? Do you know what that reminds me of? When I was at my conservatory for university, they had just stopped weighing everyone and posting everyone's weight on the board for everyone to see.
Seriously?
Like abusive. That absolutely like triggered that in me of like, oh no, they're posting all the grades on the board. That's horrible. And then daily tests? Like what? What? Why? What kind of teacher does that? She's not a good teacher. Let's just all be honest with that. That is a bad technique. Can we agree?
And then she goes straight to the embarrassment, not like, hey, I'm really concerned. Can I help you? I'm a teacher. No. Why are you or all people failing these tests when you have the teacher? She goes right to, you're embarrassing me. It is a reflection of the family. She goes right there. She goes straight to it.
Not only that, but what if Andy had undiagnosed ADHD or dyslexia or some sort of learning disability? We don't know.
No, nobody.
They're just going to beat it out of him.
Nobody had those things then.
Back then.
Do you know how you know that you had ADHD or you had a learning disability? You got beaten more than everybody else.
Exactly. Exactly. And then comparing him to Albert, like brutal. Just listen, teachers out there watching and listening. We know this is not the appropriate way to do things, correct? Like this is a bad teacher. Sorry, Alice Garvey. Had to get that off my chest, but sorry.
All serve the drama, however.
Sure.
Patrick, you're a writer. You do everything that serves the drama. You have to give the characters the stuff that they need in order to drive the drama.
Right, and
forget the accuracy.
I take Pamela's notes, which is like a lot of the stuff on Little House is very manufactured to get to the emotional aspect, which everyone responds to the emotion. And of course, it's the emotion of Michael is always very good with the kids' stories and the adult stories of mirroring them and having them be complementary. And the whole storyline between Mrs. Garvey and Mrs. Olson, is being told in tandem. And so, it's not a very good teacher. But again, she's prairie when she go to school for teaching.
And also, I don't blame Patrick. I don't blame you at all for kicking Albert's ass. Are you kidding me? I would have too.
He needed I
was totally team Patrick. I was totally team Andy.
But see, it worked because it's meant to trigger childhood memories. A lot of the themes are things for kids where something isn't fair, where they're accused of doing something they didn't do or blamed for something, and then Pa or someone has to go, you're right, I'm so sorry you did. That's a big theme with kids and not fair, and the parents going, you're right, that wasn't fair. And that's like, right. But you see, it worked because, Pamela, what happened? You were thrown immediately back to when you were in school, and they tortured you in the same way. And that was precisely what it was meant to do.
But it's funny, as a kid,
like you're saying,
all
the
of
sense
this.
memory of it. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was just saying, but as a kid, like none of this, I didn't pick up on any of this at all. But as an adult, I'm like, what? She's doing, This is crazy talk. Okay, Patrick, continue, please.
Well, again, I think part of it is like, if you look at the structure of the story, but like what Alison was saying, as a kid and as a viewer, you're like, that's how you remember school. Like, oh God, there was a test every day. I can't even get and so you feel like that. But yeah, exactly. Testing for what? Obviously if you're going to be moved up to the next grade, like you get to move back a chair, like what's the big deal? I mean, there's no...
I want to know, Patrick, when you got did you have any idea that you were getting an episode about you, like an Andy-centric episode, or did you open the script that week and go, oh, wow, okay, it's me?
No, my experience on the show was always, we'd get the scripts and I would be excited to read the scripts to find out what the next story was. I like that anyways, on whether it's whatever show, Jag or Little House or... except the shows that I wrote, where I know what's coming up. The idea of following along, there's like different levels of experience. In the first level, I'm a big comic book fan, and so scripts are very similar in that you're being told a story, and it's better than a novel. It's shorter, it's faster, you can get the whole story. And the scripts were really readable. They were very, very readable. So I didn't know that it was coming up, and when I read it, I was excited because obviously, you know, more page count, more camera time, more all of that stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm a professional kid. You know it's going to be, you know, a big deal. Watching it just today, I was shocked at the amount of camera time I had, which was like...
You are.
It's all you, baby. It's all you.
Yeah, it was kind of crazy. And it's like, oh, now I get why people know me from the show. It's like an hour of me on network TV.
The eyes, you have eyelashes like a llama. You are so cute in this that you're so cute.
And they're so big and blue. You're just like, oh, his eyes are amazing. Can I read you a note that I wrote?
They were pretty spectacular, but I think my head was smaller and, you know, topped off with that mushroom cap of a hairpiece that I had on.
You were very pretty. I just have to read you the note that I...
Oh, dear.
That I wrote. I went, the dinner table scene at the Garvey's house. First of all, I like the Garvey's house. It's very nice for a
it is actually a nice looking
log
house.
Yeah.
Open floor plan.
Alice, yes, exactly. And you get your own bedroom. Sweet.
Yeah.
Okay, Alice says, quote, I won't have you continue to disgrace me with the grades you've been getting. And then I wrote, she sucks so hard.
Yeah.
He thought, Little House on the Prairie.
Well, and that's
terrible.
Funny.
She says, what do you dislike about Nellie? Everything. There's a callback, just like a callback to the episode Country Girl, when she comes storming in and says, you know, Mrs. Alton said this. Well, what did she say? Well, it's not what she said. It's the way she said it. If you go back to Country Girls, and Paul says, Country girls, that's not an insult. You are country. What is it? It's the way she said it. And so this running theme of the way the Olsen say things and torturing us.
Just her tuts, her is so like high blood pressure inducing. It's just so horrible how a little sound, a little gesture like that can just set you over the edge. It's horrible.
The open mouth thing, the whole thing.
Now, what was your relationship with? First of all, I know you had a great relationship with your daddy.
Yeah.
Merlin.
Yes. And what was your relationship like with your mother, Alice?
Hirsch.
Hirsch.
With Hirsch, it was fine, and I say fine in the sense that, like, I think we talked about this last time. I had issues with my dad. My dad was sick, and so my connection with Merlin was like I was in a lifeboat on a stormy sea, and Merlin was like this lighthouse. Okay, so it's like all of my attention was always on Merlin, and so when Herschel was around, it was like yeah, hi, good, nice to see you. And she was sweet, she was fine, but my mom was on set, and if you remember my mom, guys, my mom was not a shrinking violet. In fact, none of the moms on our show were shrinking violets. So much so that some of them were asked not to be on the set.
I have not heard this before.
I won't. There are other people here that can speak to that. But for my mom was always
They're not saying a word.
My mom was always very connected, or she was really bossy with the acting, and because she was an actress, and so the whole thing, you know, it's no surprise that my brother and I are both actors. I mean, she took us on auditions that she was on, and that's how we got into the business. They said, well, who are the kids? And she's like, those are my kids. But she would run lines with us, and around this time, I'm not saying anything bad, I'm just going to be honest with you guys. Around this time, I began to understand that my mom wasn't a good actress, and the stuff that she was giving us to be, you know, to do on our show was not what I saw Michael do, or even what I saw Merlin do, or Melissa, or anyone else. And I'm like, I'm a young actor putting it all together. And so this show and a couple other shows around this era, I started doing things that, it was like always a classic, for me. I was on camera was here, Michael was here, and then 30 feet behind him was my mom watching. And so it was like early on, I'd ignore Michael and watch my mom. If my mom was happy, then I was happy. And then around this time, I was like watching Michael. And in this case, Bill Claxton, who was about the sweetest, kindest, softest voice.
Bill didn't say much.
No.
He didn't say much of anything. He sort of shuffled and kicked the dirt around on the ground, and he'd sort of look everywhere but at you. But he was really wonderful to work with. He was very pithy in what he would say. He didn't say what he would just throw a little thing out there, not much, just a little thing. And you were listening. If you were listening, you got some stuff from him. He was great.
Do you remember? Do you remember being really directed, or they let you come in? You had prepared, you had done your stuff, or do you remember a nugget of a direction you got that really helped you?
That's a good question. I'm thinking to give a real answer.
That would be refreshing.
No, because with Little House, there's so many stories that you just immediately jump into. No, I don't remember. There was only a couple of times I remember Michael directly directing me, but it was always like a little softer kitty or a little upset kitty. Like it was always kitty something, but it was always something quick and like a temperament, like a level issue. I think because the way Michael did the show was, I don't think he ever had patience for any type of not only diva, but just sort of like work at that level. I think he cast the people that he wanted as the characters, and then especially as kids, we were those kids. Yeah. I mean, if you look at this episode or any other episode with myself and Melissa and Matt and anyone else, but we three were in scenes, we were all so completely different. Yeah. And each one of us it wasn't like we were trying to outact each other. It was just sort of like we were doing our own little things. And for me, it's like what you were saying earlier, Alison. It's like I'm going, who is this cute little girl that's getting railroaded into cheating? It's like, oh, that's me. I got this tiny little girl voice. This long, flowing hair.
But you start having the little peach fuzz.
Yeah, exactly.
You were perfect in that scene because you had that so innocent. And I remember, as I said, my favorite pieces of dialogue and all the terrible things I said. But I also remember you were just perfect. You were so innocent. And it's like, do you know how I get good grades? You study hard. And it's like, no, I cheat. It's like, idiot. And you're just so like flabbergasted. You're absolutely dead on. But that was a running thing with Michael. He would hire people, and Dean's talked about this, we all talked about this, that I want you to do that. I brought you in because you do that, because you were this, and you pretty much do that. Do that. And if you did something, it's like, no, I just hired you to do that. You don't have to do anything else. You just have to show up and do that thing, and we're all happy unless you bump into the furniture or do something weird, and I'll stop you. Carry on. And so there was a lot of that where you run right. That's true.
I think that's
exactly. I also have to say, you said before how you and your brother got into the business because you were just following your mom into auditions, but you're both really good. Like, that's not normal.
Yeah,
that's not normal.
That doesn't work out.
Let's take a break and talk about how good they really are when we come back.
Okay, how do you feel about that, Patrick? We're going to talk about how good you are.
As an actor, exactly. Yeah.
I'm going to hate every hour of it.
All right, well, we'll see when we return.
When you visit Simi Valley, California, you're stepping into the pages of history. Go from the pioneers to the presidents. Explore beautiful wildflowers, hike through iconic Hollywood locations, and end your day aboard the actual Air Force One at the Ronald Reagan Presidential Library and Museum. Throughout the summer, take the Little House 50th Anniversary Tour at Big Sky Movie Ranch. Less than 15 minutes from Los Angeles and 30 minutes from Universal Studios, Simi Valley has small-town charm with big-time history. Go to visitsimiValley.com for more information. We are so grateful to visitsimiValley.com for their commitment to presenting the Little House 50th Anniversary podcast.
Okay, we are back, everybody. Let's talk about Patrick being a great actor, shall we?
Brilliant.
Dean, do you want to say something? Do you want to lead us into this?
Patrick, you have known you now for going back to 1979 when I first met you. It's 46 years.
That's insane, you guys.
Yeah, no, exactly. I mean, you guys are, you and your brother, such different actors, such different people, but so good at what you were doing. And, your mom, she may not have been the actress that, that you came to discover that she wasn't the actress that maybe that she might have been, but she didn't do it all wrong with you guys either. I mean, because there was something really wonderful about the work that you were doing.
Yeah. Well, I think what happens is, for me, when I can't talk about my acting without talking about Matt, because Matt's acting was preternatural. It wasn't like he learned that stuff. The storyline goes, and this is in 1,000 interviews back in the 70s, both my brother and I are adopted. We are not biologically related. We are brothers and will always be brothers, but we don't have any blood together. Matthew was diagnosed as autistic when he was very, very young. And he was nonverbal for years. And I was labeled psychotic as a child, which...
Psychotic?
I remember
really,
this.
Really deep
horrible,
in this. Yeah.
horrible.
Right. This is like...
What, just no empathy? Or, I mean, what?
No, not at all. What happened was that they had... no, I have lots of empathy, but the story's not true. I'm getting around to actually why this makes sense. Mm-hmm. So I read a book just in the last couple of years called The Primal Wound, which is about adoption, okay? And in The Primal Wound, they talk about when you're separated from your mother, no matter how organic and how beautiful and whatever the adoption is, you're still separated from your biological mother, and it creates this primal wound, right? My experience was I was 9 months old when I was adopted by my mom. Now, it didn't mean much to me when I was on Little House. Didn't mean much to me when I was a kid because 9 months is just a ball of goo. It's just a baby. It doesn't do anything. Until I had my own son. And from 0 days to 9 months, that's a lot of life, right? So I was in 5 different foster homes in that 9 months. And in my medical records, it said that I had to be given phenobarbital, which is like this heavy drug to calm me down because I was psychotic. What I found out in this book, The Primal Wound, was babies who were yearning for touch and who weren't being held and who wanted love would cry, and in the orphanages or wherever the facilities were, they would give them phenobarbital to calm them down. They drug them out. So this is what I'm learning in this book, and I'm like, oh, well, this makes sense, right? So now you've got a kid who's had 5 foster homes. I'm in this new home. And again, I'm only 9 months, but I was trained from a very young age to suss out the room to get the hugs and love that I needed. So this goes directly to acting, which is all that is an audition is like you look around the room going, okay, what do these guys want? I can do that. And so I had that ability to figure out what was going on and how to basically get the parts, right? Now, with my brother, it was a lot different. But my mom, being an actress, decided, well, the kid who's super stressed out and desires love, what better than to put him on stage? And for the autistic kid, what better to break through this nonverbal thing than to put him on stage and have him express emotions that aren't his, but are his, right? So if you look at my brother's performance and my brother's, this is all my opinion. I don't know how my brother feels about this. But if you look at my brother and how easily he could go from just regular kid to going to a core pain that he is able to express, and why everyone goes, oh, that Albert, he's a really good actor. Because he really is. He's just not, he's acting, but he's also expressing, tapping into these emotions that he didn't express or didn't learn how to express or chemically wasn't able, or however it works with autism. I don't know. I'm not judging. This was his way to express things. So in long roundabout history of my life, the idea of being an actor, I really love, because I like the attention, I like the praise, I like the simplistic idea of these words you say on this mark, and then you did a good job. It's like, oh, I love that. Yeah. So it was really easy to iterate and to learn, like, oh, Michael liked that. Oh, Laura did this. She did that. My brother did this. And I would watch my brother. And at no point did I think that I was the same type of actor as my brother. For a long time, I thought I wasn't as good an actor as my brother. And then I realized, no, it's not the good. It's just a different type of acting that Matthew does.
Yeah.
And so by the time I'm getting to this era, which is what we're, this Cheaters episode type of thing, I kind of had the idea of like, oh, I get it. Like, if you, and again, even with my school, I still go by the idea that if you have the right thought in the back of your head, it'll come out the front of your face. That's kind of like the only way that I explain acting. Everything else is kind of easy. If you understand how to get to that thought in the back of your head, your face and everything is going to do what it's going to do, right? And
if you're leaving it alone.
Yeah,
if you're leaving it alone, it comes out, because you're like, if I'm terrified that I'm going to get caught, your eyes get big and you don't know what you're going to do. It's just, that's the thought. You're not sitting there going, okay, I'm going to raise my eyebrow on line 3. It's
well,
like,
if
there are some actors that do that.
Yeah, there are some actors that do that for sure.
So my brother is this amazing actor where I would just sort of watch him and go, okay, I see what he's doing there. And again, it's like I took a lot from what I saw him do. I took a lot from Melissa. I took a lot from Michael. The one scene I was like going, this guy Andy is not a bright kid. It's like Laura knows you're cheating, and then Charles Ingalls invites you to go fishing. Like, that's not normal.
And you don't figure it out. You're like, oh gosh, I'm so glad he invited me to go fishing. And you get clueless. Absolutely. Well, and then the fact that you're with Nellie, you're like still thinking I'm going to teach you how to study.
After you've admitted that you cheat.
Yeah, you're still there. Like, you don't bolt out the door. You're like, oh, okay, get some.
I can make this
I also
work.
just love that cheating is on the same level as like murder. Like, it's that serious to all of them. When Laura, it's when I was watching this episode with my 6-year-old daughter, and last night, and when Laura starts crying, Marco just looked at me and went, why is she crying? And I was like,
I said the same thing when I watched it.
Like, why is she crying?
Because she's contractually obligated to every episode.
Wait, let me take this back for a second, because I find that really fascinating that your mom put you guys in the biz for feeling love and validation and also expression, but that is such a risky move too, because we all know this business is a disaster, and it could also break a child just as easily as booster them up. And you also don't want the child to only feel validated through booking work or was I good enough?
Well, look, there's no mistake. There's no coincidence here that my brother isn't doing on camera work anymore. It's just like he made a choice long ago going, I don't want to go into an audition and have him go, hey, you were Albert. It's like, yeah, I'm 40. Just let me read for your part. I did it a different way. It was just sort of like my idea was I'm just going to keep chugging because I recognized early on, again, because of Little House, that like oh, like you can be really, really old, like in your 80s and 90s and still be doing this. So it's a long marathon in my mind that I'll always be able to work. So I just got to stick around.
That's always that carrot, that dangling carrot. That's why so many people stay in it for so long. And, you know, they might think of leaving, but that little dangling carrot in front of you, they're like, but wait, but you could make it at 50. You could make it at 60. Who knows? Your big break might be at 80. You just don't know.
Well, and for me, obviously, I have the benefit of having made it a couple of different times. So I know that it's sort of like I know it's possible to get more, in my mind, more work. Because it's not like you're going to ever make it. Even Tom Cruise had down years. It's like you're never going to always be number one. It doesn't matter. Yeah. And if you're not number one, that's fine. In fact, if you're number 12 on the call sheet and you're number 12 on a bunch of projects, that's way better than being number one. In my mind.
That's what I said. I asked them. I asked Alison and Dean before, like, what is?
I reconnected. Sorry,
are you frozen? There you go.
My internet kept going. I just want quick because. Here's a weird thing that was happening. I mean, you talked about all the stuff with you and your brother. We were told this, which we probably shouldn't have been, but I guess your mom, I don't know. So I was told, like, oh, yes, you know, Matt was autistic when he was younger. And I believe the phrase that I was told was that you were diagnosed as an infant as schizophrenic, which I remember going, yeah, that's not a thing. Even at 16, I went, yeah, no, this is not a schizophrenic 8-month-old baby, but okay, whatever. But that was very weird to be relating with you and being told, yes, they're both like, you know, straight out of the mental hospital and just like, what's going on? And then I got to it and I'm like, they seem fine to me. What are we doing here? And I thought, it's how weird that of all the things of being a child actor and having your mom do that, then to also have this like bizarre, really not like a label, like this child may have been somewhat disturbed because, you know, they are adopted and they have emotional difficulties. Like, no, we're going to slap a gigantic label on this kid. And he's going to know about it, and so are all his friends. What? Yeah. How are you even remotely sane now? I guess that is my question, because you seem pretty good.
Have you seen my show?
you seem sane.
He's functional.
I'm a good actor.
Yeah, you're a good actor, and you're functional. You know,
he's a functional psychopath.
I'd love to continue this conversation, but we have to dive out of here.
We're going to go. Okay, listen.
And we need to do a Patreon, and I know what the topic's going to be.
We'll get to the end of the episode. Here's my notes. Ready?
Yes.
Garvey wins Father of the Year award until he still gives him a whooping.
Still beats him.
Like, what the hell are we doing, Little House on the Prairie?
So much talk about beating.
And then he said it'll make me feel better. What?
Yes, that part was like.
Well, that creates a whole nother.
That's a whole other episode we can
for Andy later.
I know. Andy, the later years. It could have been totally a spinoff on HBO. Midnight.
I was watching when we were watching the show. It's like, you know, and I'm getting a hug from Merlin, and what's so ridiculous is Merlin's hand is on my head, which is where, you know, I was hugging and like his knuckle is as big as my eye socket. It's like, I thought that what happened was that he'd take me out back and he'd be like, all right, don't tell your mom, but I'm not going to do anything. But you got to say that you got a good whooping, because if I whoop you, I will kill you. Just because I'm so big.
And also taking you out to the barn, like, my God, is there a torture chamber in the barn? What is happening in the barn?
The barn, the shed. They always went out to the barn. But I thought of that too. I thought, I bet he doesn't really do it because he would have to know. How would he? Even if he said, yes, I must spank or beat my kid with a belt, he's 6'7" and he's going to have to go tap, because otherwise he's going to knock the kid into tomorrow. And how do with
Can't you just give a little pat on the behind right there in the kitchen? Like, what's in the barn that's so important? Anyway, he had me and then he lost me. That's my own issue, though. And then finally, the final scene where all the kids are going to school and Alice is ringing the bell, in which we now know actually does not make any sound. And here's my question, too. And this is the end. I promise this is the end. Alison, why would Nellie write actually on the lining of the jacket? Why didn't she pin a note? So she would run out of room eventually in that jacket and ruin a perfectly nice jacket.
And you know, in my ridiculous French show that Patrick and I do in France, we do a send-up of this episode that we do a gag where we're playing game show. We bring people up, and I go, oh, hang on a minute, and I come out in a remake of the Cheater's Jacket, and all the questions are asked. I'm this. And indeed, I put it on notes that I tape or pin to the jacket because how the hell? What? You got to test every day. I'm going to write history and math on the.
It's going to be everywhere.
Linings. I have multiple linings. I'm zipping in and out of the thing.
And it never occurred to me as a kid either. Of like, wait, she's writing actually on the lining of the jacket. That makes no sense.
See, I'm such a guy. I'm like sitting there going, did she write it so that when she's bending down, is it upside down or is it right side up?
Vertically.
Andy had the right technique, little sliver.
Crib knits, good old crib knits.
Yeah. Which destroys Laura.
Which is so funny because there's like TV does this weird thing, right? Where it makes everything look bigger. That schoolhouse was so small. It's like Laura was literally, I could feel her breath. I mean, it's not like she was like as far away as it looks. And it's like, there's no way that either one of these kids could get away with it.
Well, they didn't in the end. That's right. And then maybe Nellie got a whipping. In her, when you're back from, you're back from Winoka and now you're rocking the black and white school uniform?
Yeah, why am I still wearing the uniform? Because we left the school.
I don't know, but I love it. I love that.
It's gorgeous.
Uniform.
It's gorgeous.
It's really
now
beautiful.
I actually get beaten in this episode and see because Catherine McGregor, they handed her the jacket and Richelina said, I have folded it so the big giant metal buttons are on the inside. And if you take it and just go like this, you can hit her with it and you won't hurt her. And Catherine, of course, just took one end and went and unfurled the whole thing so that metal buttons at all were struck across my back and I'm screaming in actual pain. Yes, lovely.
She's method. She's so method. All right. I guess we have to wrap things up. But
we have to run.
Patrick is joining us on Patreon. We will do more. Patrick, thank you for being here. This is so much fun getting the tidbits.
My pleasure. I love listening to the show. I hope everybody enjoys it.
And we love listening to your show also. Plug. Go for it. Hit it. What's your show, Patrick?
Oh, I don't really like to plug things. Please, it's just the Patrick Labyorteaux Show with Patrick Labyorteaux. I've had 3/4 of this on 2/3, 2/2, 1/2. Half of the cast has been on the show.
It's a great show. I love it. You do such a good show.
It's all because of the guests. The guests are amazing. I've been really lucky.
I like for New Year's when we did each other's show and then ran them both on New Year's.
That was really fun. We had a lot of fun on that. And what surprises me is that we had different stories on each show.
Oh, yeah, that's good. That's really good. Because,
good.
Yeah, really good. Okay, anyway, you guys, we have to wrap things up. Thank you for joining us today. Please join us on Patreon. We're going to be here with Patrick. It's going to be so much fun. And you can find us on littlehouse50podcast.com, our socials on littlehouse50podcast. And it's time. Bob, get the wig. Let's fly, everybody.